pick your brain, man. Let's get into starting user group. And I'll confess, part of this is pretty selfish on my part. I've been thinking about starting user group of my own for a while. Haven't gotten there quite yet because reasons. I was involved with the Boston Network Operators Group for a while, helping organize some of that stuff a few years back when that was active. It's not really an active group at the moment. But let's say I want to start a user group, because I do. How should I set up the leadership structure? Should I elect myself benevolent dictator for life? Or should I seek some other people who want to help me run the group? And if so, how many other people is enough people to make a thing go like this?
So yeah, you do not want to nominate yourself benevolent dictator for life, because you will burn out. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to have at least 3 people running a user group, and a user group is a user group. I mean, it's all about the community. I call myself an organizer. I call myself like a co-organizer or whatever like that. I mean, I'm just kind of doing what the folks want to do. We take a list of, we send everybody a Google Doc, and we say, hey, what do you want to learn about? And the thing that gets the most hits is the thing that I try to go find a speaker for. So you want to have 2, 3, 4 people. Having is a great idea. That way you can divvy up the work, because any one person doing an entire user group, it's going to be too much, because everybody does have a day job, and most people have kids or prior commitments or things outside of doing this. So yeah, definitely at least 3 other humans, or no, three humans total minimum.
Minimum 3 humans. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, let's say, Ethan's made that decision. He's going to venture out into the world of the new user group. He's got 2 other human beings, hopefully they're human, lined up.
Good luck.
And they're all going to collectively start this awesome new user group. How do they let the world know? How do you start getting people to actually come to your user group? Because it'd be kind of sad if it was just Ethan and those 2 other humans and a whole bunch of pizza and beer. I mean, not that sad, but
no,
a little bit sad.
Not too bad.
You want people to show up.
Right. So it depends on what you're trying to go for. So like for the AWS Portsmouth user group, we were unfortunate in the fact that there's the Boston user group, 45 minutes south of us, but there's a large community on the North Shore. So for everybody listening, Ethan and I are actually in the New England area together. We're about an hour apart from each other. So when I start talking about regionality, Ned, please clarify if we're getting to take a left at Littleton and you're right there. It's easy. Just tell us to shut up. The North Shore, north of Boston, they don't want to drive into Boston. That's awful. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to start a user group in the Portsmouth area, so that people north of Massachusetts, north of Boston, and in New Hampshire and in southern Maine could come and come to a user group that's convenient, easy, and low traffic. Mm-hmm. So you have to define the need, convenience and need. There's a user group in Atlanta, Georgia, that's inside an office space from the company where the guy that works at the office, he basically runs it in the daytime, and it's 25 minutes to drive there one way. So he's asking people on their lunch break to drive a total of 50 minutes to grab 5 minutes of AWS knowledge, and he's wondering why he can't get attendees other than the people that are actually working in the office space. I'm like, well, know your audience. So when you're trying to spin this up, you want to set up your meetup. You want to advertise it out there. Get it out on Twitter, get it out on Facebook groups. Every community, every region has their own certain thing. In the Lakes region. And when I say the Lakes region, I mean the Great Lakes, not the New Hampshire Lakes. Meetingplace.io is now supplanting meetup.com. So they're now all phasing over that. So you kind of have to know your region. I don't know what's like in the San Francisco region, that's rife with user groups. There's like 6 AWS user groups just in the Bay Area. So you have to know how many people are you going to potentially attract. And then, get the word out, advertising in a newspaper. That's a bit archaic. That's probably not going to work, but there is something that will work in your area. For here, it was Meetup .com was, that worked. I have like a good following on Twitter from people in the local area because of my work with VTUG. So I was able to get out the word about that from the VTUG area as well. So one user group springboarded off another user group. And I've been communicating with the other user group leaders in the local area too. So Brian Tarbox down in Boston, we cross-pollinate advertising with each other. So I tell him what's going on up here, he lets his users know, and vice versa. So it's just kind of getting your name out there, learning who's the other leaders, and chatting with them and saying, hey, can you help me out? Because everybody wants to help. Everybody's been very, very helpful in this space.
Yeah, we had a similar situation with not the AWS user groups, but actually the Azure user groups down in Philadelphia, near where I am. There was a Azure Philly that was kind of meeting inside Philly. And then there was another Azure user group, which was meeting in King of Prussia, which is about 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia. And it was a lot of the same reasons you talked about. People who didn't live in Philadelphia didn't want to drive into Philadelphia for a user group because it's painful, and parking and all of those logistics, where they could just drive to this business park in King of Prussia about the same, might even be the same drive time, but it's just not as stressful.
Right.
But they also did cross-pollination. They would do events together to try to drum up a bigger audience, especially if one of them wrangled like a really good speaker that was hard to get. Yeah, we'll combine them together and say, hey, we'll do this one together because we got this awesome speaker, or something like that, to really entice the folks to come out. And then if you get a few new people, maybe they'll keep coming.
Yep, exactly. And that's kind of how this all spawns off of each other. There's no starting one of these things in a vacuum. You learn from the people around you. Down in Boston, Brian was doing this really cool thing with his Zoom sessions. I was like, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to do that. And then I tried something new, and he's like, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to try that. So nothing is new under the sun.
You got tips on how often a user group should meet, Chris?
In person, I want to say, depending upon the size and depending upon the venue. So the VTUG, we rented Gillette Stadium for the events. So we did that twice a year. That's a bigger event. It's a heavier lift. You need more people involved. The AWS Portsmouth user group, the PUG, that's monthly because it's 40, 50 people, and we can get together quickly. The V Brown Bag, because of the audience size and because of the after eyeballs that come from after the recordings, that has to be online. There's no way that we could gather physically present, with the exception of conferences where I meet up with Al or John to hash out ideas.